but certainly I've had so many conversations with women over the last 5 or so years where one way or another they're realizing they've gone to, you know, some of them are very, very successful women. They are women who you would look at and say they do, you know, the cliche of like having it all, they have it all, and yet it's taking its toll emotionally, physically, spiritually, certainly. In fact, it's interesting how it's spiritually in particular, and partly probably because of the work we do, it's the spiritual aspect in particular, that disconnection with soul, disconnection with spirit in particular, that is one way or another starting to show up, initially subtly, and then more and more clearly, like, this isn't the life I came here for. It feels like it's a shallow shell of something. And I've followed the rules. I've done all of the things I was told to do. I've taken all of the opportunities, and here I am, and it doesn't feel fulfilling. I'm exhausted. I feel resentful of the fact that I'm doing, you know, the cliche of kind of, you know, the superwoman at work, and then I get home and it's like down to me to do all the kind of running the house and the children, all the rest of it. And that's one way or another the conversation I have, particularly in that kind of first conversation or two with new clients, new female clients, over and over again.
Yeah, so you see it firsthand, how having it all is exhausting and incongruent in some deeper soul and purpose kind of way.
Because it requires it, in order to have it all, requires you to do it all, which requires, to a large extent, kind of overriding, dismissing, disassociating from what it means to actually be a woman.
And what specifically does what is a woman? I'm not going to ask you that. I watched the whole documentary on that yesterday, what's called What is a Woman? What is it about being a woman specifically that one must disassociate from in order to do it all?
It would be a really long conversation for me to name, you know, all different parts of this, but I'll just name a couple of the big parts that I see often are the places it's most showing up. One is women are cyclical. We have our menstrual cycle, which is initially the kind of cyclical way of a woman being in life, and then there's a wider cycle of kind of like pre having a menstrual cycle, and then obviously menopausal and postmenopausal. And the way the world's been constructed, particularly the world of work, is very linear, very masculine, not really in any way observing, let alone honoring, that cyclical nature of a woman. And so, just speaking personally, in the years where I was in, you know, very corporate masculine environment, in order to be able to fit in order to be successful, I needed to do whatever I could to, like, as far as I could, neutralize my cycle, to not have different parts of my cycle affect me mentally, physically, emotionally. I had to do what I could to dissociate it, push it down. You know, some women medicate it, do what we can to not experience the cycle. And we can do that to a large extent. Not only does it cost us one way or another, like, which often then starts to happen in terms of, you know, extreme PMT, really painful periods, those kinds of things. What we're missing, because this again is just not part of the conversation that women are having kind of handed down generation, the menstrual cycle is one of the most powerful portals to a woman's kind of spiritual life. As we are allowed to reclaim that relationship with our cycle, each part of the cycle is like a messenger, is an archetype in itself. It allows us to open to something deeper. but we don't even know that's available. So we're missing out on this whole aspect of our soulful life by trying to like push it down and fit in. And so that's a cost that we're just not even aware of until after we've reclaimed it. So that's just one aspect of kind of what it means to be a woman. It makes, I'm not, of course, saying to be a woman means to have a menstrual cycle, but this is a really big part of being a woman that is just not present for most people in our culture. Yeah. This is just another small example, and I literally could give so many, is a woman's body is meant to be and is more sensitive than a man's body. Is meant to be sensitive, is meant to be able to feel changes in the environment, in the emotions of other people around us, so that we can kind of tend, care, give, gather. And in order to, again, be in a corporate environment that is kind of really disconnected from nature, people needing to kind of like be a certain way, and not necessarily a way that is honoring of different people, different experiences, emotions, any of this. It requires desensitizing, it requires armoring up, it requires closing, which allows you to kind of survive in the world of work. You then get back home and you're closed and you're armored up and you're desensitized, and it's really hard to feel really anything that is very, you know, wonderful to feel in your life, whether that be your relationships with your partner, your children, or anything else. So it has, again, a cost that isn't visible because most of us haven't experienced that.